I'm Robin Crane, and this is the Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way podcast. Listen, I was a financial advisor for over a decade, and I got so sick of the old archaic strategies that your grandpa used to get clients. What the industry teaches today is still so outdated and just doesn't work anymore. So I had to find a better way for myself, and then I got obsessed with sharing these how-tos with other women like me. The stuff I teach doesn't require giving up your life, your sanity, or your family time. I want women like you to have it easier than I had it, so you can thrive in the industry. I've now helped thousands of women grow their financial businesses to multiple six figures, some even seven figures per year. So on this podcast, you're going to get an inside look at how they did it so you can do it too. Let's dive into the show.
Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited. I'm here with Vivian Glyck, and she's amazing. We actually met in the Unicorn Club, which is something I've talked about before, of this mastermind that I'm involved in, and I absolutely love. These amazing, incredible women, super successful, business-minded, just like have done incredible things. And Vivian actually has had clients like Deepak Chopra, who I'm sure you know, Dean Ornish, Tony Robbins. I'm just crazy. And she has a foundation called Just Like My Child Foundation, which she started after having her son, Zach. And she's done just incredible things when it comes to philanthropy, giving back, helping around the globe. And I want to get more into it because we want to talk really about how she's using philanthropy to build business and help others do the same. And so we're going to get into that. So tell us a little bit kind of how you got into that with your business background and also like the philanthropy and bringing that together, because I know for myself, it feels very confusing and hard to bridge that together. And I want to give back, but I don't want to sabotage my business and all that. So start with that and we'll go into the therapy session for me when we have a chance.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Robin. It's really exciting to be here and to talk about how to bring philanthropy into your business, particularly for women business owners and women who are in the financial world, helping other women to build their financial net worth as well. And so my background has been in healthcare and in global health, and to help speakers and business people in the healthcare industry to build their platform. And that was many years ago. And after I had my son in 2002, I had a couple of back-to-back miscarriages after he was born. And I knew that I could really have my own biological child. I knew there was enough science out there I could make it happen. But I started becoming really familiar with what was happening around the world, particularly in Africa, with children. And 12 billion children had been orphaned by the AIDS virus. Every 30 seconds, a child was dying of malaria. I mean, basically a mosquito bite. And I started to think, how can this be happening when these children are just like my child? And one thing led to the other. And, when you put it out into the universe generally will answer. It may take a little longer than we'd like, but it's always the perfect timing. And I did get an invitation to travel to Uganda and to visit a very small clinic in a rural setting. And it was run by these Ugandan nuns who turn out are like stronger than the military there. So when you're with a Ugandan nun, your butt is always covered. And the very first night that I was there, I watched an adolescent girl die in childbirth.
Oh, God.
And her mother was watching, and the girl's baby survived. So here it was, 3 generations, grandmother, 13-year-old daughter, and then the baby survived. And so right then and there, I got to see this microcosm of the macrocosm of what happens to girls and women around the world. And that, in fact, the real question was, what was a 13-year-old girl doing having a baby? Not so much about the maternal health aspect, which was what I was most interested in. very long story short, we ended up, I never wanted to start a foundation. I wanted to use my marketing background to help other organizations build their donors, et cetera. But that wasn't what the universe had in mind for me. And we ended up creating Just Like My Child Foundation and Girl Power Project, which is now an evidence-based program that's shown to keep girls in school, avoiding forced child marriage, rape, disease, et cetera. We put over 20,000 girls through the program in Uganda, and really excited. We've just had a beta launch of this in India and are going deeper there. So it was this sort of incredible opportunity to bring my marketing and business know-how to a nonprofit, to creating a 501c3, which I always say when people say, oh, I want to give, I want to help, I've got this business, I want to start my own foundation. And I always say, what comes after Just Like My Child Foundation is Inc. It's a corporation. It's running a business. It has all of the complexities of running a full-fledged, huge corporation. And so when people ask me how can they give back, and they have something that they really love and believe in, that's kind of how I get to, you can really change the world while you work without creating a whole nother nest of difficulties for yourself.
Well, and I love that you bring that up, and that's hilarious, Inc. Because I think part of it is, for me, it's like I have this feeling like I have to focus on the growth of the business. Like that's my number one as I'm like in the growth mode and expansion mode, which makes sense because the more I can make, the more I can give. And, you see, great role models like Oprah, who like she made so much money, she can give so much money, right? And it's not even like we don't look at the percentage that she gives. We're like, oh, Oprah gave $40 million, or I'm sure you know the exact number, but $40 million and she's a billionaire. But it's like, wow, well, she couldn't have given $40 million if she didn't have a shit ton of money, right? So it's like, I want to make more money so I can give more, but I get caught up in that. I think some of how do I make a big impact? And I also find like I'm not the type of person who likes to watch the news because it just depresses me. I feel like I can't do anything about it. And I think I'm going to the therapy session right away so I can see if anyone relates to this. But I sometimes just put myself on the stand.
I'm like, I was a doctor in another life, so spit it out.
Okay, great. So for me, it's like, I really want to give back, but then there's that overwhelm and there's that feeling of like, will it really make a difference? And then how do I do that? Like, I love what you're saying here is like using philanthropy to build your business, because I feel like it seems like one or the other. Cause like what you just said with the Inc. attached, it was one or the other. It's like, I decided to start a whole corporation and it's a 501c3. And now that's my whole focus is to give back as from the corporate side. So yeah, give me some tips on that. And I brought up a few points. Like one is that guilt factor or the feeling like, how is my contribution, financial or otherwise, like really making a difference? And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, even with voting, right? And then also the big component of like, well, how do I do this in a way that's going to help me have a bigger exposure or grow my business, as opposed to it's either time or money away from the business?
Yeah, I think those are really great questions. And I feel as though most women in business whom I meet have this exact question. So I think it's extremely common when people find out what I've been doing for the last 17 years, it brings up in them, oh my gosh, I'm just working. I'm not, making a contribution. How do I do that? And so I think that, and then is what I'm doing making a difference? So I think that, I told you I wrote this little book, How to Change the World While You Work, which I can make available to anybody.
Yeah, I love that. Let's say that again. Make sure they caught that. How to Change the World While You Work. And we'll give you the link in a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you can download it for free. And basically, it is answering all of those questions, particularly for women. Number one, don't ever ignore that calling to make a difference and to serve and to help someone else. Number two, you do not need to replicate the process or the organization, but what is it? Number three, ask yourself, what is it that you feel most passionately about? I talk about adolescent girls. I get a lot of business women who want to throw me down and go, tell me how I can help. What's the difference that I can make? I have girls or even fathers who are like, I want to be a part of it, but I'm already there doing the work. So I can help you to channel your funds and to channel your connection, because that's really what we're looking for. More money does have more impact, but at the end of the day, do you feel as though you're accomplishing your legacy? So find the thing that you are most passionate about. Maybe it's cancer research. Maybe it's your own backyard, to your point about grassroots movements and voting and stuff and things like that. Is there a difference that you want to make in your own backyard? And then, really research who is having an impact. One of the things, kind of the conundrums that I've been caught up in for the last 17 years is that, people have this sense that, you have to look at what percentage of the donation is going directly to the recipient or the client or the service or whatever, as opposed to, you don't ask that question in business. You ask, what's the ROI, right? What's the return on the investment? How much am I getting back? How much is the world getting back because I've invested $1? And when I can tell you we've transformed the lives of thousands of girls who now have the power inside of themselves to direct their lives, as opposed to, we fed, 5,000 kids lunch. That's a much bigger ROI, right? That. It's exponential. It goes on and on. So those are the kinds of questions that I would encourage somebody to ask. And then to really align themselves and to find a way to bring your own clientele. Let's say, Robin, you decided, just like my Child and Girl Power Project was where you wanted to dip your toe into, let's just say theoretically. And and then what you did was you turned your base and your platform into something that can help drive more attention towards that. So instead of just your $1,000 or, whatever your generosity was to impact girls, you turned your whole platform onto it. Now you have 100 women who have 100 clients each who are now involved, and they make that organization part of their philanthropic commitment. So that's one of the things I talk about in How to Change the World While You Work. It's not just about giving a percentage. We all should be tithing 10%. It just should be that way. You're earning, you're giving, you're making a difference. But I've had the opportunity to work with many entrepreneurs like JJ Virgin, like Lisa Sasevich, like my friend Sage Levine, who've had me in front of their platform talking about the work that we're doing and inviting them directly to contribute. So it's not something you have to manage, right? We manage it. So I would say, my husband also has been super, super helpful and instrumental in helping us to raise money. But when I first started, just like my child, he's doing his own marketing, entrepreneur building platform, and he doesn't want to have any exposure of this in front of his clients. And I'm like, really? I think you should give it a try, and I kind of nudged him about it. And soon thereafter, he was introducing me to his clients. And again, he had a speaking platform, and his business quadrupled.
Wow.
And I don't think that you can ever underestimate how much credibility you gain from opening your heart and showing who you really are to your clients. Because it goes from, we're just talking about, how much can you talk about money day in and day out? But what's it all for? Money is currency. It's the flow of life. So how do you have it have a bigger impact? And I have seen this over and over. And it's actually something I talk about a little bit in the book. With every stage I've spoken on, is many people are afraid, if I give some time to the philanthropy, or if I donate to the philanthropy and expose it to my audience, they're not going to buy as much from me. I'm not going to have the same sales. Well, in every instance, sales quadruple, because you're asking people to open their heart, and it's all we really want to do is have a connection. So even when you're working with clients one-on-one to talk about what you're really committed to, again, whether it's in your own backyard or across the world, or even what you're doing with your kids in their school, and giving people an opportunity to be generous themselves, it transforms the relationship. And that's how, and philanthropy is the gateway to power. I went from that little hospital room to the White House several times with this work. And you never know, the point about being on boards, et cetera, but why? What's your why to be on boards? What's your why? Philanthropy is really the gateway to power.
Wow. That's your next book, possibly. Philanthropy, the gateway to power. I like that.
That's kind of what this is, the ultimate guide for using philanthropy to build your business. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, so some of the actual strategies, if I can pull them out, one, obviously get passionate about what cause you really want, and how you're going to, I would say how you're going to contribute, but it's more about the drive, the why behind it. Right. And then the how, it sounds like it's more like, well, it's a lot easier to support something that already exists, where they're doing all the operations and figured it all out first, than to start something on your own. And it's not just about your dollars that you're contributing. It's about bringing that to your clients, bringing that to your community, and showing them this is something I believe in. Let's support this together. And I've seen that at, I think it was Russell Brunson event that I went to, and it was, Underground, what's it called? I'm sure you know about it. Operation Underground. Yeah. Where it's about human trafficking. And I was crying, at this event, and happy to give. And I just felt I couldn't do enough. But just like you said, it's compartmentalized. I didn't think since I'm putting this money towards charity, now I can't invest in his program. It was well, I'm going to put some towards charity, and it has nothing to do with me investing or not investing in this program. And it just had instant credibility for him, towards him and what he's doing, because I'm it's almost like there's a part of us that when we see someone who's really successful, making multiple millions, we're jealous. We want that. We want to be like that. But there's still oftentimes a part of us who maybe might be questioning, what do they need more money for? Don't they have enough? I don't want to just give him money to support his business type of thing. And I think it's very subconscious, but there's a part that's he's got enough millions as it is, I don't want to give him money to help his business, which is why I'm always telling my clients, when you ask for referrals, it's not like realtors, when they're hey, can you give me a referral? Because I'm trying to, I want to grow my business. It's I don't care about you growing your business. That has nothing to do with it. It's about the transformation you provide. So I think what happens is at a subconscious level is when I see someone like Russell Brunson in front of, thousands and thousands of people supporting a cause, I'm wow, he's now in a more powerful position by being an influencer who makes a lot of money. And he's not just pocketing it, he's giving it back, and he's using his influence to help promote something like this beautiful, wonderful cause, So I think all that's like kind of an unconscious level, but I'm thinking that, and then the more credibility and more respect and more love for him, because it's not just like this feeling of like, oh, he's just trying to get more money out of me.
Yeah, totally. I think, Russell was one of our first contributors in that way. Very generous, but yeah, I think, listen, you can't underestimate the what happens in your heart when you serve or when you give or when you're generous. And I would say that's the most important thing to focus on. Like, what expands you? What makes you feel alive and connected when you give? And that may take a while for you to find. What do you need to do? Like, I've taken hundreds of people to Africa because they want to come, they want to see, they want to feel connected and like they're part of this. They want to bring their kids so their kids stop complaining about not having like the newest iPhone or whatever the heck. Right. What makes you feel alive? I would say that's the number one question when you're looking for that cause.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because that was going to be my next question is like, as the owner of a foundation, like, are you just mostly looking for money, or do you give that experience? Because I would agree with that. Like, that is so interesting to me. Like, cause I don't really feel it when I just give money. And my husband and I, and we were doing a good job of it, and then we started doing a bad job of it. But when we first got married, even on our honeymoon, we did a give back. Like, we wanted it to be an experience. And part of it was just like, we actually biked by this little, like, I wouldn't even call it a house, like maybe a hut, I mean, it was like a wooden house, but it was like a 1 room kind of place with like, I think there were like 12 children, and we biked in and said hello. And it was right. This was in Panama.
Oh, uh-huh.
And we ended up, it was like the day before Christmas. And so we went back the next day, like we had like $20 in our pockets. So we're like, here, but then the next day we went back, we got a truck, we bought all these, like, we bought food and shoes and toys and it was just like 2 families, but I think there were 12 or 14 kids and combined 2 little homes, and we went back and we got to play Santa Claus. And it was so invigorating for us because we got to see the smiles on their faces. We got to see the change, we took all these pictures and stuff. We said, is it okay? They were great and had so much fun and felt like we made a difference, even though it was just one day. And you said there's one thing, we can take all these kids to school and change their lives and teach them entrepreneurship and stuff. We could just give them a meal, like it's all good stuff, but it's like the bigger the transformation, the better. So that was like a feel good thing, but like, it would have been even better if I could have, really changed their life, like ongoing and made a difference. But we did that on our honeymoon. And then we've done give back stuff like that. And we just went to Costa Rica with our kids and we just brought a bunch of stuffed animals and went to a school and gave them, like treats and stuffed animals. So like we did something, but we're kind of like half-assing it because, and I'll tell you why, it kind of comes back to the ink part is it, which I think of when it comes to, operations and corporation, all this stuff, it's all this organization that like, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the visionary. Like, I don't want to deal with the organization of shit. Like, I just want to do good. And I'm happy to do good. But then when it gets all cloudy with what I have to figure out and organizing, I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. So we could only like plan so much. So we did a little bit, but I love the idea of like, just like you said, like bringing our kids. And that was what we wanted to do since we got married. Like, and we involved our daughter. We went back to Mexico, to what's it called? Puerto Rico, Puerto Vallarta, with our daughter years ago. And we did something. Have you heard of the dump? Puerto Vallarta. Anyway, they have like a dump where it's literally like garbage. And then we went there and like there are people living there and living close by there and gave food. And then there were a few like churches and stuff we went and gave to and backpacks for the kids at school. So we did that early on with our first daughter and then, busy give it whatever excuse you want to name it. Like, we're not doing it enough now. We just did in Costa Rica a little bit, but I really want to do that. So put me on the docket for the next trip to Africa, because I want to go and see what we can do as a family.
We might go to India.
All right.
Yeah. We just launched this program in India as well. And we're actually having a little event in December here in San Diego. But and Robin, I would also say for your listeners is that philanthropy is a journey, so that moment that you have of like, because I believe that what you saw in that home in Panama wasn't, all these poor kids. You were like, well, they're just like me. That's where just like my child came from. It's like you erase that sense of separation, which is really all of our suffering on the planet, is the sense you, them, you're different than me. And so sparking that inside of you is really the first step in that journey to philanthropy, because that's what sets you on the path, right? That's what sets you yearning and learning. And so, anybody from, the Rockefellers on Oprah, et cetera, they started there. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, well, what really makes a difference? What really makes an impact? How do you create? How do you scale? How do you make it sustainable? So I wouldn't, you're young, you're vibrant, I wouldn't.
There's still time.
I wouldn't beat yourself up about it, but just like engage in the journey, because it may be the thing that you find, and it may be a couple of things. And that's the other thing I would say, just in terms of philanthropic development, is when you develop real, true financial wealth, focus is so important, because that creates the impact, whether it's, okay, I'm going to really focus on water, on the oceans, or I'm going to focus on gender. I'm going to focus on science and research, and or, my thing is animals or whatever. Everybody has something else. I mean, in my mind, it's girls, because we all carry that like uterus, and that changes the planet. So
I'm with you on that.
That's kind of a bit of a jumping off point. But I think that's the other thing I talk about in the book, is like to find that one thing and to pursue the passion and to invest and to let people know what you're up to, because I really believe that everyone, particularly women, have that yearning to be relevant, to leave a legacy, to feel connected, and that using your business and your contacts and your know-how to drive more impact is, it's what we're here for. What else?
What else? That's absolutely true. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Tell them where to get the book.
It is justlikeMyChild.org/book, justlikeMyChild.org/book. You know what, Robin, give me 1 second. I'm just going to confirm 1,000% that is the URL, so I don't mess you up. But and you can download the book right there. So it's an easy download. Yeah, just
awesome. Like you got it? Okay, perfect. And I'm assuming then justlikeMyChild.org is a great place to go if you want to donate or be part of this mission and part of this philanthropic mission, I would say, and to help support the cause. So thank you so much for joining us. Go get the book, check out the organization, and check out Vivian Glyck. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I actually have the link for the tag challenge, the appointment generator challenge. So instead, you can just go to femalefinancialadvisors.com and register right now so that you can get 5 quality appointments
in just 5 days. Now, this is not around, you having to talk to friends and family and get all awkward. This is not about you having to spend marketing dollars online or create a whole funnel. This is going to be easy. It's simple. It happens in 5 days. If I can get you 5 quality appointments in 5 days, then you know that you can have the best year of your life, because you just need to get in front of more of the right people. We will walk through it together as we do it. So do not miss this. And if you're smart, do VIP, spend a few extra bucks, and you can actually spend time with me on Zoom where I can connect with you, get to know you, and really help you get those quality appointments so that you can grow your business. And go ahead, again, register at femalefinancialadvisors.com. You'll find it all there. It's coming up very, very soon. So make sure to register, claim your spot, get in on this, get excited about it, block your calendar, because you need to spend about an hour to an hour and a half a day with me on the Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that you can get these results. And it does work. The most appointments I think we got in those 5 days, someone, I think it was Dana, got 33 appointments. So you could be my best student and go well beyond the 5 quality appointments. Go to 10, go to 15, go to 20, and set yourself up for the best year ever. Can't wait to see you at the Tag Challenge. See you there. Thank you again for listening to Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way.